Coming up on today's Next Fan Up podcast, it's a show full of questions.
It's funny because if you think 24-20 is a low-scoring, ugly game, then you don't know a low-scoring, ugly game, sir.
Also, why do I sound like this?
Well, I got it straight from the NFL, so pretty much anyone that's using the NFL communications.
Really? I was always under the impression you made those things up.
That didn't answer the question, Neil.
If the truth be known, he's drunk so much miracle water. He is actually 85 years old.
So yeah, I sound more like this at the end of the show than the other audio that you... long story. It's the divisional weekend in the NFL playoffs. Here we go.
That's how we start! Yeah, baby!
32 SuperFans.
Where do the reports come from? Did you get an initial?
One PodVader.
That's football.
Every angle of the NFL covered.
All that kind of stuff, I get it.
This,
no question about it,
is Next Fan Up.
We're going to unleash hell here in December.
Hello and welcome to the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. This is the preview podcast. Hello everyone, PodVader here. We've already talked quite a bit before the recording has even started, and hopefully we won't forget all that stuff that we talked about, because all of it will be after we talk about the playoff games. We're here to talk about your divisional round playoffs. We're going to be here to talk about all the new coaches that have been hired, all the new coaches that weren't hired. We're going to have a great conversation on that. And then we might, depending on how long we talk, might get into an interesting thing that our Washington Redskins superfan from across the pond brought up, and that is Neil. Hello, Neil.
Hey, Jay. Just hoping that, we'll better hurry up because I kind of want James to be part of this conversation.
James is our Philadelphia Eagles superfan, whom Neil is worried that he doesn't have much time left.
Barring some type of catastrophic miracle proportions, I am here for the long haul.
I have a feeling James will outlive both of us, Neil. What are you talking about?
He sounds rough.
That's the goal. I mean, that's Neil, who's basically got one foot in the grave already.
That is a solid point. And he's got that, questionable, medical coverage over there in Europe. I mean, we all know the best medicine is here in the United States.
Yeah, and of course, we do have to worry that you guys have just launched World War III. So,
oh gosh,
yes,
I have nothing to say.
Although I do believe yesterday we sent you a present by sending you back Meghan Markle and giving you Prince Harry, so you can have them.
Oh, thanks.
You go.
Thanks. Yeah, appreciate that.
Stick them in a cannon and fire them into Iran.
Megan is a treasure. Watch yourself.
Nextfanup@gmail.com. How to get involved in these types of conversations at NFU Podcast on Twitter, Facebook.com/NFU Podcast. You can talk to us there as well. Hopefully you've listened to my wonderful reunion podcast with Matt Williamson on the Locked On NFL podcast. That was a treat. And depending on when you listen to this, you probably heard me on the Locked On Patriots podcast as well. If you haven't yet, I'm the executive producer of the Locked On Network, so I could make myself a guest on any podcast over there whenever I want, but I do not abuse my powers. I wait until I'm invited on. And I have quite a number of things to say about the New England Patriots. You'd expect that, as I've been in mourning this past week.
Wait, time out. Did you say you don't abuse your powers?
No, never.
Really? So we're basically PodVader just for kicks and giggles, right?
Right, exactly.
Oh, okay, sure, whatever. Yeah, sure, okay.
I think James, the more intriguing question is whether Matt Williamson actually agreed with any of his points on the Patriots. Because I'm guessing no.
No, he did. He agreed with quite a few of my points, as a matter of fact.
Oh, God. I mean, some of them are just probably blatantly odd.
Our playoff pick'em group is off to a rousing start, as I got a mere 1 out of 4 correct last week. That was a wild card weekend. That was wild.
Well, that's what it's supposed to be. Unpredictable. Everybody's supposed to have a shot. Well, 7 of the teams had a shot, and then it was Philadelphia who was just there for show.
Neil, how'd you do last week?
I got them all right, as I do most weeks.
No, that's wrong.
Okay, that doesn't sound right at all.
I'll be lucky if I win 50-50.
Neil got them all wrong, as a matter of fact, as I'm looking at the pick sheet right now.
I don't know why I keep investing so much in these deadbeats like Philadelphia and New England.
I don't even know why anyone chose to pick Philadelphia to win the game last week. I told any and everybody within earshot not to pick my squad to win.
Yep, and that's why you got all wrong, Neil, and that's why I got one right, because I listened to James. James got 3 out of 4 correct.
Oh, he didn't, did he?
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
but that tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah, that just tells you how crazy these playoffs are.
Exactly. No Dak Pirate and Blue 10 lead our playoff pick'em group on CBSSports.com. You can still go join. Feel free. I didn't lock the group or anything like that. And ultimately, the person who wins the group will have an opportunity to join us on a future podcast in the off season.
Did Matt get all 4 right?
I honestly don't know. I don't know if I can click on it and find out if they did or not.
Well, no Dak Pirate. That's Matt.
Yes. Yep.
He's leading, so he must have got all 4 right then, huh?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
It's a point system. It gives you different points depending on if you pick the underdog or the favorite, whatever.
Oh, God.
Anyway, as we mentioned how wild card weekend was, 7 of the remaining 8 clubs in contention for Super Bowl 54 were not in the divisional playoffs last year, and that is the largest year-to-year turnover in the divisional round since 1990, when the NFL instituted the current 12-team playoff format. By the way, the most surprising thing out of this particular stat is the fact that the current playoff format was only started in 1990. For some reason, I feel like it started way earlier than that.
No, because before it was the 3 division winners and 1 wild card.
1 wild card, yeah. That's right.
Then they went to 2 wild cards before we expanded to the current 8 division format.
And honestly, that's why I always consider Washington's Super Bowl victories far more worthwhile than any of you guys.
Of course.
It's tougher to get in then.
The number 6 seeds are now 4-0 over the past 2 seasons, and for the first time in NFL history, all 4 number 6 seeds have advanced to the divisional playoffs in consecutive years. Since Super Bowl 51, when New England topped Atlanta 34-28 in what was the greatest comeback in Super Bowl history. It was also the first overtime in Super Bowl history. Postseason games have been fiercely competitive, beginning with that Super Bowl. The last 27 postseason contests have been decided by just 8.1 points on average. 4 of the NFL's last 7 postseason games have gone to overtime, including, obviously, 2 last weekend. Road teams are a combined 8-6 over the last 14 NFL playoff games. That excludes the neutral field of Super Bowl 53.
Hey, Jay?
Yeah.
For Super Bowl 51, that counts as an abuse of power.
What are you talking about? That's the stat. Since Super Bowl 51.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know you're alienating all of our Atlanta fans right now.
Oh, too bad for the Atlanta fans.
Both of them.
Right. Exactly. Anyway, so listen, this is exactly what the NFL wants. They want parity, they want turnover, they want close competitive games in the playoffs, and that's what they're getting.
That's true. That's very true. Do you think the quality is up this year, guys? I mean, these 8 teams that are left standing, do you see a really great team there?
Well, I can tell you, to abuse my power, that the 12-4 Patriots were the worst 12-4 Patriot team that I've ever seen. And spoiler alert, I can tell you, Green Bay Brian will tell you that the Packers are the worst 13-3 team he's ever seen.
Yeah, I told you that last week. That's true.
Yeah. So do I think the quality is up? It's I guess it's all a matter of perspective.
Do you think the quarterbacks we have this year young guys. Think that's a good sign?
Absolutely.
Well, it's certainly a
Absolutely.
passing of the guard, isn't it?
It is. I mean, the old guard is.
You got Rodgers there, of course.
We got Rodgers there. We had Brady.
Yeah, Russell Wilson, too. Isn't he over 30 at this point?
Well, Russell Wilson's kind of in the fringe. He's not new guard and he's not old guard. I mean, yeah, he's been in the league 8 years, but
if the truth be known, he's drunk so much miracle water. He is actually 85 years old, but he looks like he's about 30.
I was waiting. I've been waiting. Took us 9.5 minutes to get a good one out of Neil. Fantastic.
Oh, goodness gracious. But no, the older quarterbacks, you know, if you want to throw in Rivers, Roethlisberger, and Manning because they've been in the league over 15 years, whatever, that guard is slowly going to start falling off as far as retiring from the league over the next few years. I don't see many of them playing more than the next 2 to 3 seasons, honestly. And, yeah, these younger quarterbacks we have, especially 3 of the 4 in the AFC in Mahomes, Watson, and Jackson, I mean, this is the future of the league, basically. And it's on display right now in these playoffs. So, I mean, one of those matchups is definitely going to be spectacular to look at least from an aerial standpoint, you know, provided neither defense shows up.
Mm.
So enjoy it is what we're saying. Whether it's good, bad, indifferent, enjoy it.
Well, we're going to have a entirely different Super Bowl, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
So that's going to be for the neutral fan whose team hasn't been relevant since about week 1. Then it's going to be an interesting game.
Yeah, the Patriot Invitational was canceled this year.
Thank goodness, because it sucks going into the Super Bowl trying to figure out, does this team really have a shot to beat New England? Oh gosh, New England's going to stomp a mud hole in these guys.
Yeah, I preferred those Super Bowls. Those were
of course
much
you
better.
would. The rest of the country doesn't.
Well, again, screw the rest of the country.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
and there goes the rest of our fan base. Thank you, Jay. Thank you very much.
All right, why don't we start talking about some football games, and we will kick off on.
Just before you do, Jay, there's a funny smell. It's a sort of smoky smell. You're not burning New England Patriots gear, are you?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not burning any Patriots gear. My lucky underwear did meet its end. It met its demise.
Yeah, I would have burned that. I would have burned that.
No longer lucky. It is the luck has run out on that wonderful piece of clothing. I'll miss it.
What about your Bill Belichick godpiece? Have you burned that?
I don't even know what that is, but I will just move on to Saturday at 4:30 p.m. on NBC. We will have our first matchup. It is the Minnesota Vikings versus the San Francisco 49ers. The Niners ended the season 4th on our power rankings. The Vikings ended the season at 10th. And while we don't have a Viking superfan, Charlie, our San Francisco 49ers superfan, surprised us and left us with a wonderful breakdown of this particular game.
Hello, my name's Charlie, the 49ers superfan. I'm back on just in time for the 49ers' first playoff game in 6 years. The Niners are facing a very tough Vikings team, just took on the Saints and were able to beat them in overtime in New Orleans. Starting at the offense, when it comes to offensive tackles, who has the best tackles? I think Mike McGlinchey and Joe Staley take the cake there. Now, it may not matter because Everson Griffin and Danielle Hunter may take a page from the Atlanta Falcons and line up inside like they did versus the Saints to avoid the Niners' strength in offensive tackle. Going into the interior offensive line, both teams are decimated here, have a lot of trouble with interior rushers. Minnesota might be a little better, but they also don't have to go against an interior rusher by the likes of Aaron Donald twice a year like the Niners 3 have. Going on to fullback, both teams utilize this position. I hope my red